Well, hey there YouTubers, welcome back once again to Richard's Toy Room. And today we have another plastic model kit. Now this is a Revell model kit. I've had pretty good luck with the modern Revell kits. This one is copyrighted from 2012, so I'm not sure exactly how long this was in production. I know there are a few different versions of it, but I think they're kind of all basically the same model, maybe with a few different options. This one is the 50 Oldsmobile Club Coupe. It's a Rocket 88, and you can build it in two different ways. You can build it stock, which I'm going to, which I always do, or it's got like this like a road race version. It's like a, I think it was like a Mexican Pan American race or something like that. I think it won, if I'm not mistaken. That's probably why it's one of the versions of the kit here. Let's start out by showing the box. The end caps of the box are the same as the front cover here. And this just basically is your typical Revell stats and information. It's got 135 parts in this kit, which is a nice parts count. The opposite side shows you some pictures of completed kits that somebody had done for them. Here's the paperwork that comes in the kit. I'll give you an ad. This will be going in the trash immediately. It's a free trial issue of Scale Auto magazine. I don't need that. So, goodbye. And they give you a pretty nice decal sheet here. Now, I won't be using a lot of these, but because most of them are for that Mexican road race there. Down here are probably the ones I'll end up using. There's like a lot of emblems, and these look like they're probably for the hubcaps and the dashboard and stuff like that. There's one thing I don't like about this kit was right here. These 4 decals for the tires. So as long as we're talking about those, let me grab them. They give you 4 tires. They are no-name tires, which I don't have a problem with them being no-name tires, and they're hollow. The problem I have is, why couldn't they pad print the tires like the other companies do? This is a pain in the you-know-what to put these decals on, and they almost never want to stick. So I'll give them a try. Maybe you just had bad luck with them in the past. I don't like the way they look usually, but I'll give these a try and see what they look like. If not, I may end up painting them by hand, which is my second choice. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with that. Now here's your instruction booklet. It's a nice one. It's your typical Revell, which is in booklet form, and it's, you know, pages. Starts off with your typical, you know, for the beginner modeler, tells you some do's and don'ts and stuff like that, you know. Common knowledge to us advanced modelers. And then you get your paint guide, which is helpful in some circumstances. And then you get your, down here, lowest common denominator type of international picture symbols for people that don't read the 3 languages that they already put this into. I don't know, I find that irritating, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a American, you know, so I think it shall be in English. Anyway, and it lists all the parts that are included in the kit, both of these 2 pages here, and tells you what they're all called, which is nice in case you're kind of curious, like, what is this part? I don't know what it is. Anyway, so starts out with your engine like most kits do. A lot of pieces on that. Goes to your frame. Put the frame together. Rear suspension, rear axle, front suspension, more frame parts, and it starts hitting your interior here, and your firewall, radiator. As we get into the meat of the interior, I want you to put the seat together, seats in, door panels. Dashboard tells you where to put the decals. Here's your options for the racing car. moves over to your tires. Now here, it's interesting. I don't really see this too often. It actually wants you to build the wheels first and then slip them into the tires. Now I know there's some modelers that like to do that all the time. I usually don't. But again, now this is a problem because this has the Revell pins, and I always have a problem with those with wobbly tires. So I may end up putting these in first, then gluing the wheels together, then slipping the tires on, so I don't have wobbly wheels. But we'll have to see. I'll have to see how they fit. They may be a nice version of them where they don't wobble. Maybe there's no play in there. Anyway, to continue, they give you a lot of different glass pieces here to put in. And your final assemblies here with your hood and your bumpers and your wipers and trim pieces. And then over here it tells you where to put all the decals for your two different versions. And, well, I guess they give you two different race version decals. It looks like they give you a American stock car racing version and I was right, winner of the first running of the Pan American Road Race, 1950. That's those decals. So there's your instruction booklet. Let's pull all these white parts out. There's a lot of them. So there's all your white parts except for the body. So here's your floor pan with yeah, that looks like that's the interior too. It's got some pretty decent detail on it. It's got the inner fenders molded in, and it also has some nice detailing up on those. Your fuel tank and some stuff back here molded in. And here are your wheels, both sides, and then a few engine parts. Here's some interior parts. Oh, you even got visors that are separate that you put in. Your foot pedals, your steering wheel, back of your front seat, and your door panels. Some nice deep molding on those door panels. Those will detail up nicely, I think. And here is this looks like racing parts. It's like the back seat delete and a what do you call this thing? Roll cage. Roll bars, front suspension, mostly engine parts on here, looks like, and a steering column. This looks like suspension and exhaust. Got your backing plates for the brakes. You don't usually see those either. That's another nice touch. Weirdly, you have to even put the springs together. They're molded in halves. Control arms. I think that's a battery. Some very thinly molded sway bars, front and rear. And it looks like your rear axle into trailing arms here. And this is like your under the hood stuff and a few engine pieces, like your radiator and the radiator front surround probably there, and more radiator parts, fan. And you got your seats and your dashboard. Here's your hood. Got some fender skirts here. Some optional parts, looks like an air cleaner maybe. Some hood hinges. Doesn't look like any detail really to speak of underneath the hood there. And here is your frame. Molded pretty nice. Nice details on that. Appreciated by a modeler instead of some of the crap that they put out. or reissue. Here is your beautiful 1/25th scale plastic body. Pretty nice solid piece of plastic. And the only emblem, so to speak, that I see molded in here is on this little part above the rear wheel here, in the rear fender, and that says Futuramic on it. I'm not sure how that's going to get detailed. I don't know if the letters get blacked in or if they just stay the way they are. I'll have to research that, but that looks like a nice body. So then you get your pins, like I was speaking of earlier. They also give you 2 metal exhaust tips, which is interesting. That's another thing I haven't seen before. They're included in there with the 4-wheel pins. Here's your glass. I will leave it in here as to avoid scratching it. You've got front and rear windshields. You've got rear quarter windshields. You've got front vent windshields, or windshields. Rear quarter windows, front vent windows, headlight lenses, and I think that might be a washer bottle, and I'm not sure what that other part is in there off the top of my head. There's one little clear lens for something. Might be for the steering wheel or something, I don't know yet. And then your chrome tree. Looks like it's chromed very nicely. You got a nice Oldsmobile bumper there. Maybe this might help a little bit. Maybe not much. It's got some trim rings for the wheels. You got your center caps. You got your emblems for the hood and the trunk. Your headlights. Looks like wiper blades, rear view mirror, outside rear view mirror, door handles. I'm not sure what that is. You get a really nice hood ornament here. License plate brackets, tail lights. This is a nice chrome tree. This will be a pretty good detail kit as long as everything turns out right. So that's your box full of Oldsmobile. So next up will most likely be an interim update. So stay tuned. Okay, quick little update here before the usual. I was going and putting some sub-assemblies together in this for painting purposes, and what I discovered was a problem that you may run across. I mean, you could probably figure it out fairly quickly, but if you're going by the book completely, you might screw up and not realize it. So up here, this backing plate here, as you can see, if I zoom in here, you see how it's telling you to put it on this way with the U shape, the horseshoe shape, with the opening at the top. And here's the matching piece to that. See here? But if you look and match this up with the instructions, I mean with the actual kit, now you can see it's upside down. Here's the lower subframe area here. Here's the part, and I want you to put it on with the U opening at the top. But if you look on the actual car, that U is upside down. So you have to flip that 180 degrees in order for it to fit on that post right. Now, over here for the rear, it has the same thing. As you can see right here, with the U pointing open at the top and then going on to the rear axle. But this is actually proper. See, it's upside down. For some reason, the front one is opposite. I don't know why. But just watch out for that when you're putting it together, that's all. Okay, I think it's time to do our update on this 1950 Olds. So far, there has really only been one real issue that I've had. Anything else that has been a problem has been actually two real issues. And the only other things that have been real problems have been something that would have been caused by me, not have anything to do with the kit itself. And those have to do with painting. I made a few questionable choices in my methods to paint some of this, like in the interior. It's probably not very obvious, but I painted with a brush, some in acrylic paint, some of the dash and seats and trim. I went with a light and dark gray two-tone, which was the best I could figure out was a common color that was available on these. But I don't know, I didn't have a lot of luck with getting the paint to lay down very well. Like I said, that's my fault. The other thing is, if you remember, the decal sheet came with white wall decals. Those, as I suspected, sucked. I put one on and it looked horrible. It wouldn't lay down flat. It was too big. It looked terrible. I mean, just having black walls would have looked better than putting those piece of crap decals on. I don't know why Revell can't give you the pad printed white walls. If so, this would have been fabulous. So I tried painting them. I've done this before, and I used the white acrylic paint and painted them, but for some reason I think the paint was drying too fast as I was painting, and I was getting like kind of texture lumps in it, and I tried like giving it a little sand and then going over it again, but I was just getting the same problem. And of course they never looks as good because you can't really tape these off very well, and you can't by hand paint, you know, right up to those lines very well. So I mean, you kind of get what you get. I mean, back here, yeah, okay, it looks fine, but when you get up close and you can see all the defects and stuff, and I'm really disappointed in that. And I blame Revell on that. The wheels went on beautifully. The little metal pegs fit in. I mean, there's like almost no slop in these at all. And I put the wheels together and pushed them into the tires afterwards, as it recommends in the instructions. No problems there whatsoever. The only other major problem I've had so far, and I still have more to go, are the decals. They did not want to lay down well at all. A couple of them I had to end up putting some glue on to get them to lay flat. I even used the decal set, didn't help at all. I don't know what the problem is, but the decals did not want to cooperate at all. The one in the dash sucked. It was too big. It didn't fit in the spot right. Just one thing after another. You can see I don't have the steering wheel in yet. It's over here because the book says, and from what I saw online, says to paint it the body color, which as you can see, I chose to paint burgundy. And oddly enough, let me show the undercarriage of this before we get to the body. Everything went together fine on this kit, which wasn't too unexpected for a Revell kit. Now, I went and did a little bit of, what would you call it, planning ahead. So I pre-assembled a lot of this chassis because it was all going to be basically the same color. And I hate scraping the paint off if I don't have to, and putting all the, to put all the pieces together when they're all basically going to, be painted the same color. So I put almost all the chassis together ahead of time. But one thing I didn't expect was this X goes on after, so don't ignore that. But this exhaust system, this one-piece exhaust system, was a little difficult to fish through all the suspension and components like that. I mean, as you can see, it's possible, but it was fiddly to get that in there. I just want to let you know if you decide to go that route. Let's see. I think that was about it. Dashboard doesn't have a whole lot of detail on it to begin with, so there's really not a whole lot to see in there. So, like I said, the decal kind of sucked. And the decal is the only option. It's blank besides that, so you had to use the decal or you get nothing in there. So moving on to the body, the paint came out pretty good. I think once I put a coat of Future on it, or Pledge, or whatever you want to call it, I think it'll look pretty nice. But besides that, it didn't come out too bad. I mean, there's the slightest bit of orange peel on it, but even if I left it like this, I'd be happy with it like that. But the thing I did different on this, and I don't know if it had anything to do with it, because I don't use Krylon paint anymore, but I still have quite a few cans in my stash. And that was the only can I had that was this color that I wanted to paint this car. So, and I didn't even realize it when I chose it until I was like looking, I was like, wait a minute, this is Krylon paint. This isn't going to work. But I've had really bad luck with the primers that I've been using. Even though they're Rust-Oleum and I've been using Rust-Oleum paint over them, they never seem to come out very well for me. So I thought, you know what? If I was doing a candy paint, you usually use like a gold or a silver paint underneath that. Now I have a Rust-Oleum steel paint, which is basically this color of the exhaust that I use now for painting. I'm not steel, aluminum. It doesn't matter. They're all pretty much the same color. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to just try it just to see what happens. I mean, it can't hurt. It's that 2X Rust-Oleum with the paint and the primer all in one. So I painted that, and the benefit of using that, I mean, primer's the same, but it dries really fast. I mean, within minutes. And so I was able to shoot all this, you know, and get it all, and it was pretty much dry the same day, which is uncommon for a lot of the paint jobs that I do. Usually I have to let them sit for 3, 4, 5 days before I can even touch them, or I'll end up leaving fingerprints in them. But yeah, I used that aluminum Rust-Oleum paint, and then I went over it with, I think, 3 coats of that Krylon Burgundy, and it came out really nice. I'm really happy with it. So as long as I don't screw it up, it should turn out pretty good when we're all said and done. That's about it for the update. Nothing else to report. Like I said, everything's been going pretty good, so I expect the rest of it will probably go together fairly good as well. So stay tuned. Welcome to the final reveal of the 1950 Oldsmobile kit. Now, this one I thought came out pretty nice. Again, there is no Future floor polish on this one either. Thought about doing it, but the paint came out good enough where I'm happy with it the way it is. I didn't want to push my luck. You never know with me. Yeah, I have intentions and go to do something, and good God, it's a nightmare. So the hood comes off on this one. The only issue I had on this one was putting the body to the frame, the chassis. It seemed like there was something in the middle somewhere that was making it want to, like, it would either go nice down here and popped up in the front, or nice down here and popped up in the back. So what I ended up having to do was put one end down, clamp it, and glue the hell out of it. And then when that dried, I did the same thing on the other side. I'm in the front and the back. And it seems to have held, and it looks okay, so I'm happy with it. It overall came out pretty good. So it's been a while. I've been had a lot of things going on, eye surgery and things like that, so I haven't really had time to really get to finishing up these kits. I should have had these models done and posted long ago, but if you want to get a peek what it looks like under the hood with everything all together, here's the underside. Yeah, the only other thing I didn't like about this kit mainly was the decals. I just had some real issues with those. So basically, we're done. Happy with it. I could recommend this kit. As far as getting the body down, I'm not sure what was hanging up. I don't know if it was something in the interior or if it was something in the cowl. But everything seemed to be where it's supposed to be. It just was something interfering. But as you can see, I didn't modify anything, and it all worked out in the end. So yeah, I mean, this was a cool kit. I've wanted this one for a while. So let's turn the turntable on, and we'll be done with it.